Good morning, everyone. Good morning, and welcome to the 20th anniversary of Breakfast in the Park. Can you all hear me okay? Perfect. Now I don't have to yell. At the Patricia and Philip Frost Art Museum at FIU, which is important to mention. It's such a joy to see all of you here today. I want to extend a heartfelt welcome to our members, our sponsors, our colleagues, and our friends. Your presence makes this event truly, truly special. This morning, we celebrate 2 decades of this cherished tradition while also marking an exciting milestone. Breakfast in the Park is now proudly joining our outstanding Green Critics Lecture Series. And stay tuned for a lot more to come in February with our friend that everybody knows, our artist, Xavier Cortada. So, over the past 6 months, it's been both an honor and a privilege to lead this extraordinary institution as interim director. Together, we are charting an inspiring new course with renewed missions, vision, a dynamic strategic plan, and a steadfast commitment to making art more accessible and meaningful. With our new board chair, chief curator, and the unwavering support of our FIU community, we are introducing innovative programs like A Night at the Museum in the summer. Tertulias and Frost After Dark are exciting after hours series, while also expanding exhibitions, bringing our collection out of the vault and collaborating with local and global partners from Italy, Japan, Mexico, today South Africa, and unique programming that is going to be transformative truly for everyone. Art connects us, sparks curiosity, and invites us to explore not only the world around us, but ourselves. At the Frost, we are very proud to serve as a bridge where art fosters discovery, dialogue, and a celebration of our shared humanity. I want to take this moment to express my deepest gratitude to our donors, members, advisory council, Frost staff, FIU administration, and our community members for being here today. Special thanks to our presenting sponsor, West Kendall Baptist, and the Green Family Foundation, and Kimberly Green, and PNC Bank, Freeman Hinman Auction, Mariner Wealth Advisors, Intercontinental Hotel Doral, Panther Catering, Mellon Foundation, and the FIU Center for Women and Gender Studies. Your continued generosity and partnership make this day and all that we do possible. We are deeply honored. Thank you. We are deeply honored to welcome our special guest, Billie Zangewa, whose extraordinary work inspires us in so many ways. Now, it is my pleasure to introduce Mr. Albert Abreu, Assistant Vice President of West Kendall Baptist, to share a few words.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Good morning, everyone. I think I've met a lot of you already. I know some of us go back, we didn't know, but we go back maybe 20 years. But for those of you that don't know me, my name is Albert Abreu. I'm the Assistant Vice President for Baptist Health, West Kendall Baptist Hospital. This morning, I'm excited to be here to celebrate this event of culture and community, and we are thrilled to sponsor this event today. A little history of West Kendall Baptist Hospital. We opened our doors in 2011, and by the way, we're just 10 miles west of the FIU campus. We opened our doors in 2011, almost 14 years ago, and we were committed to providing top quality care for our patients that were coming through our doors. But we understood that it had to go beyond our doors. So today, we partner with many, many, many organizations, and you'll find us in schools, neighborhoods, conducting programs, hosting festivals, and supporting art and education all across Miami-Dade and West Kendall area. We are proud of our partnerships with sponsors like this, with the FIU Patricia and Philip Frost Art Museum. And today's program highlights our commitment and shows us the power of art to nourish our soul, stimulate our minds, and introduce new ideas. So sit back and enjoy. It's going to be a spectacular day. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Albert, and Wes Kendall for your continued support. So next, I'm delighted to invite Mr. Jerry Rodriguez, our new board chair, to join me in presenting a very special award to a remarkable member of the FIU community, Professor Emeritus Doug Wartsock. So Jerry, please. I'm going to say a few words.
Sure. Good morning, everyone. I'm Jerry Rodriguez, the new Advisory Council Board Chairman, and I just want to say good morning to Interim Director Machado, faculty, staff, and all our guests here at Breakfast in the Park. Thank you for being here and enjoying this amazing event with us to celebrate Billie and, you know, the Patricia and Philip Frost Art Museum that we love so much. I joined the advisory board 2 years ago, and it's combined many of my passions, right? You know, art, community, and FIU. Our museum provides access to art and culture for everyone in the community. It offers stellar educational programming that enriches the learning experiences for visitors of all ages. Additionally, the museum serves as a platform for artists to showcase their work and their knowledge through teaching opportunities. This commitment to accessibility and education fosters a deeper appreciation for the arts and supports the growth of a vibrant artistic community. Beyond my own involvement, I'd also like to thank Interim Director Miriam Machado for her dedication to our stellar museum. Her efforts and leadership are what inspires me to continue my involvement with the museum and our exquisite array of exhibits. I am truly grateful for the leadership and the work Miriam does every day for the Frost Art Museum and look forward to where she will lead us tomorrow. Through my participation and support for our amazing museum, school, and community around it, I have grown as an alumni, I'm a double Golden Panther, and as a person involved in our diverse and blossoming community. I invite you all to enjoy the amazing art of Billie Zangewa and become involved as a member, a donor, or any other way that inspires you, as this can be a powerful way to connect with the culture and history around us, as well as to help transform and evolve this community in your own way. Thank you very much and have a great day.
So now, Doug, we'd like you to come up here, please. Here, hold it. This is for you. We'd like to present you with this small token of our appreciation. I guess we have to stand here for a picture, right? For your unwavering dedication to the Frost Art Museum and outstanding contributions. As a professor emeritus and former FIU provost, you have profoundly shaped our institution and the greater academic community. For those of you who don't know, his dedicated research with the National Academy of Sciences has advanced the study of marine mammals and inspired a deeper understanding of the natural world. So Doug, thank you so much. And I know you want to say a few words.
Thank you. Yes, I be delighted to say a few words about the importance of the art and the Frost Art Museum to the university. In 2001, when I first came to the university, it wasn't very long after that until I discovered this little small space on the ground floor of Prima Casa where Dahlia Morgan had developed the fledgling art museum. And wow, have we grown since then. Art has always been a very prominent part of FIU. It dates back to the first lady of FIU, Betty Perry, where she established the Emerging Artists Collection. And the Frost has continued that so that she established it by buying paintings by BFA and MFA students, graduating students. The Frost has continued that by having exhibitions of the work of our MFA students and The most recent example of that is right outside the doors here, where the Time and Place exhibition is occurring. The Frost Museum is a great resource not only to FIU and faculty and students, but as we see today, to the Breakfast in the Park and the Stephen and Dorothea Green Critic Lecture Series. It's had many distinguished guests, Maya Lin, Christo, Francois Gillot, et cetera, that have presented at that series. Last month, my wife and I, we were in Hong Kong, and we went to the I.M. Pei retrospective at M Plus Gallery there, and saw two of the buildings that were highlighted in his whole 100-plus lifetime career. And one of them was the Grand Louvre, of course, and the another one was the East Building of the National Gallery in Washington. And that immediately caused us to think of the Frost, because Jan Weymouth, who was the chief of design for I.M. Pei on the project for both of those buildings, was indeed the one who designed the Frost Museum that we're in today. And during the time when I was vice president for academic affairs, the building was being built, and I had opportunities to meet with Jan and with Patricia Faust on several occasions. So anyway, I really appreciate the Frost as being this intersection between the cultural life of FIU for faculty and students and the greater, broader outreach to the entire community. And I'm very grateful and delighted for the honor you've shown me. Thank you.
So thank you so much, Doug, and thank you, Jerry. And then finally, it is my sincere pleasure to welcome Natalia Zuluaga, accomplished writer, editor, and our new chief curator. Yes. She will introduce our distinguished guest and artist, Billie Zangewa. And Natalia, come on up. I wanted to thank you again all for being here today to celebrate this wonderful event. And let's enjoy this morning. Thank you again. Thank you very much.
Good morning, everybody. You've made it to the end of a very busy week. I want to thank all of you. Yes, please, right? I want to thank all of you for taking the time to join us this morning. Billie, thank you for sitting here with me and keeping me company. As many of you know, and as Miriam just stated, I just started in this role about 1 month ago, which means that this exhibition, Billie Zangewa, Field of Dreams, was well underway before I got here. I traveled here from Site Santa Fe, and I did have the pleasure of working with Billie on the very final details of hanging the show and on putting that together. But before that, a lot of people were involved, and with that in mind, I want to take the opportunity to thank and acknowledge the entire Frost Art Museum team, who not only made this exhibition possible, but this wonderful event where we are gathered here today. You know, the institution has this wonderful tradition where they put a sign outside of the galleries and they list every single person on staff who has made a contribution to the show. And I encourage all of you to go up to the galleries and see that list, because there you'll see Miriam Machado, you'll see Lourdes Ranero, you'll see Kevin McGarry, Christian Bonnet, Clara Eskenazi, Amanda Vargas, Danielle Zaya, and so many more people who made this possible. So thank you all. I want to take a moment to acknowledge them. So when I first got here, as they do, they sent me a list of Billie's images, and I saw them and I was really, I knew her work and I was like, these are so beautiful, but nothing could prepare me for actually walking and opening those crates and seeing them in person, hanging them in the space and seeing the way that those silk collages interact with light and interact with air. It really is something that a JPEG cannot do service. I want to introduce Billie properly. Billie Zangewa is a Malawian artist living in Johannesburg. She received her BFA from Rhodes University in Grahamstown, South Africa in 1995, and has since become a celebrated artist for her evocative silk-based collages. She has had solo exhibitions at institutions such as Site Santa Fe, New Mexico, the John Hansard Gallery in Southampton, and the Museum of the African Diaspora in San Francisco, California. Zangewa's work has also been prominently featured in group exhibitions around the world, including Unravel, The Power and Politics of Textiles in Art at the Barbican Center in London. Put It This Way, revisions of the Hirshhorn collection at the Hirshhorn Museum and Sculpture Garden in DC, and Global Resistance at the Centre Pompidou in Paris. Her work is held in numerous prestigious collections around the world, including the Centre Pompidou, the Hood Museum of Art at Dartmouth College, and the Minneapolis Institute of Art, as well as the Tate Modern in London, just to name a few. So welcome, Billie, and thank you. I will lose this by the end of this morning. So, as I mentioned, it's a great pleasure sitting here with you. The silk collages upstairs offer vignettes about the everyday humanity of our experience. And I'm wondering if we can maybe start at the very beginning. Can you tell us how you came to art, or maybe the way that art found you?
Hello, everybody. First of all, thank you so much for having me here today with you. Art really found me. I was 9 years old, living in Botswana. And one morning before school, my best friend at the time came up to me and she was like, "Oh, Billie, there's something I really want you to see. I want to show you something." So, I was quite curious about what she got so excited about. But then she pulled out a pencil color portrait drawing that she had done of Princess Diana. And it just moved me in ways that I had never been touched before. And instead of thinking, oh, I want to be an art collector or I want to go to museums and see art, I was like, I want to give people that feeling. So basically, from that day onwards, I drew every single day. Yes, I think I might be very determined.
When did you actually start working on the silk collages, or how did these come about, and how has the process of making them, but also the content of this particular body of work evolved over time?
So basically, I started working with textile really out of necessity. Because the only space I had in my father's house after I graduated from university was my bedroom. So I couldn't really do any printmaking, which is what I'd studied at university. And I couldn't do oil paints because I think my dad would have killed me. And I'd been working, with fabric. I'd been making things since I was quite young, sewing and so on. So, it just made sense to me because it's like fabric doesn't make a mess. You can vacuum it up after you're done. You can pack it away. And it just, it made sense. So in the beginning, I used to make like embroideries of like plants and animals that I saw in Botswana in the garden. And but then when I moved to Johannesburg and I was living in the city, I became quite inspired by the cityscape. And this is really where silk found me, was that one day I went out with a friend, with an interior decorator friend, to source fabrics. And while she was doing her work, I was just looking around and I stumbled upon these swatches of raw silk. And I was really quite fascinated with them. And the shop owner said, those are free, you can take some. So of course I was very, very poor at the time. So free was like very exciting for me. So I took some free swatches, but I didn't want to take too many, so I took just a few. And we went to a couple of places. So they also let me have a few. And when I took them back home, I put them all out and I had a look at them. And I said, wow, these actually remind me of the facades of the buildings downtown. So that's when I started doing what I call cityscapes. It was really inspired by the swatches. And of course, with time, because I'm somebody who's really interested in narratives. And after I'd been doing the cityscapes for a while, I was like, this is like the setting for a story. And I should actually be delving into like some sort of like personal narrative happening within the city. And that's when I started doing the personal stories, where I would put myself into the works, the silk works, and tell some sort of story like a failed love affair or a great holiday on the coast or something like that. So that's really how it began for me. And I have explored the self, over a long period of time. But of course, things changed a lot when I had my son, because then it became focused on the domestic. And I think that's pretty much what I'm known for. But to get to your question, this particular show is different because things shifted for me with COVID. because I would just see on the news all the kind of, the issues between people, the poverty, the kind of the otherness and conflict, and it broke my heart. And it kind of made me wonder, like, what's the point of making art about a domestic scene when all of this is happening in the world? So I just found that at that time I couldn't make that type of work. And for some of you who've seen the Kevin Costner film, A Field of Dreams, that's what I named my show after. I said to myself, well, if I build it, maybe they'll come. So I wanted to create this exhibition where people from different cultures are really depicted as the people in my life that I love, that we have this universal love together, that there's no othering, there's no conflict. And I know that it's a big dream, but I felt like this was doing my little bit to say that it's actually possible, if you have love in your heart, that you can look at the other person and see the commonality. And that's also another reason why nature features in this show, because I feel that nature is the thing we all have in common. So if we look at the things we have in common, we can never see the other person as different.
I want to push on this a little bit more. Did I lose something? Oh, no. I want to push on this a little bit more on something I find really compelling is the way that you create narratives within each frame. And so I'm glad that you immediately brought it up. I think about Faith Ringgold's quilts or even Kara Walker's stark silhouettes when I look at this work. And I'm curious if you can talk to the actual materials, right? The silk, the thread, the mirrors in this particular exhibition, the sketches, even your titles, the way that you use visual strategies such as the cutouts, the frames, all of these things, and how those things help you sort of point to maybe some of the more social political aspects of your work. I know it's a big one, but I ask because you talked about how you create the narrative, but you really like work at every single one of these layers to do so. And so I'm wondering if you can expand a little bit more on that.
Well, which part? So, silk, I speak about silk, and I say that which I was seeking me, that it was really meant to be my medium because it is also a byproduct of transformation. And I guess in a way, when I create a work, there is some sort of transformation that's happening to me, or processing of feelings or difficulties or challenges. And also, sewing is an integral part of who I am. I find a lot of peace in it. And also for me, it's about identity. It's about embracing the feminine. So, I often think about how at a certain period in art, women artists had to kind of remove themselves from their work so that you couldn't really tell whether it was a female artist or, a male artist. And I really wanted to really just say that, if you embrace feminine power, it's the intrinsic feminine power that you can express yourself in a way where you're not trying to be something that you're not, because at the end of the day, I will never be a man. I'm a woman and I have a woman's experience. And so I really just wanted to identify the beauty of being a woman and that tradition of sewing. And also, I just love the fact that like sewing just makes you feel so peaceful, like it's a form of meditation. And that in itself for me is incredibly powerful. So I would say it's a source of power for me, this thing that I do.
The domestic space, the role of women, all of these are themes that are you carrying in your work. But the ocean and landscape is also that is still very present. Could you tell us a little bit about water and the importance of that in these particular works?
Well, I love water. I'm quite obsessed with it, actually. I have to be quite honest. So I think the nature in itself is important. Like it's, sometimes we ignore it. We think it's not there. We think we're more powerful than nature. But actually, nature should humble us because it is more powerful than us. It is our creator. So that's why I like to incorporate nature in my work. But water in particular for me, because like the silk, it has powers of transformation. Like if you have a hangover and then you get into the water and have a swim, the hangover's gone. So that's
Really, I have no idea what you're talking about. You're gonna have to describe this a little bit better.
That's just an example of the transformative power of water. And also for me, it's quite fascinating that in dreams, it symbolizes emotion. So if you think about all the dreams where you had like water was present, like what was your relationship with water in the dream? So for me, that's also another layer that I think about is connecting water to emotion. And also it has significance because as I was saying when we were doing the walkabout the other day, I can always tell when I'm dehydrated because I get very emotional. It's like I'm out of hand and then I'm like, no, 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 you need to hydrate. So it is, you know, for me, it is very much connected to emotion, but also to cleansing as well. Like walking in the rain, I find extremely cleansing and energizing as well. You know, some people hate to be caught in the rain, but I love it. I absolutely love it. It's just like the best feeling to be wet. Yeah, and same goes for baths and showers. I'm obsessed with baths and showers. Like I could just be in the shower or bath like all day long. So yes, so for me, it's probably the most important element.
You mentioned something the other day too, when you were also speaking about water, about you when you work or the exhibition or this work feeling like it was a dream state of some sort, like the actual, was it the practice that you felt like was we were occupying or inhabiting a dreamscape or a process of dreaming? Did you say this to me?
Well, I think it's more like the trance that I get into while creating. And that's like, I guess that's like my God place. That's like me being in church because it's like I'm centered, I'm at peace, it's silent, even though there's noise everywhere. But in my universe, in that particular moment, it's just absolutely perfect.
Can we talk about some of the different works in the exhibition? The exhibition's on the second floor, and there we have works on paper, we have some collages, and we have mirror. And I'm wondering if you could tell us a little bit about each different kind of work up there so that our viewers know.
So obviously the textile works are, you know, something I've been doing. That's my main thing. But the works on paper, I did those because I wanted to share with the viewer, you know, the first stage of when I make my work, which is actually those pencil drawings on newsprint paper. So you can kind of get a preview of the first stage. And also, I think I'm really good at drawing, so I just I wanted to show off a little bit. And then the mirrors for me were that when Site Santa Fe offered me to do the show, I felt like I had to like get out of my comfort zone and do something a little different, challenge myself a bit. And actually, it turned out that it was actually very challenging to produce the mirrors. But and when I was thinking about what I could do that would be, you know, new for me, I thought about sculpture, but then I was like, I'm not really like a three-dimensional person. Like sculpture is not really like something that I can say I'm particularly good at. But then I'd always been like quite interested in mirrors and you know, like there's, if you look at different films, like they use mirrors as part of like the narration, which actually I've always been quite curious about. And I've also done quite a lot of work, textile work, where, you know, it's my mirror reflection. So, and then I thought about how mirrors create the third dimension just through reflection. So I was like, well, mirrors can be my sculptures. But I also liked the idea that because I was making the portraits of my kind of global family, that I should like, you know, allow the viewer to also create a portrait of themselves like a Billie Zangewa portrait through their own reflection in the mirrors. So the interactive part of that was also, you know, important to me. Yeah, and yes, does it?
So these are, I was going to say, now that we're here, you can talk about the portraits of your community, I think, more
Yes.
specifically, yeah.
Yes, so this group of works is the one that's called Field of Dreams, where I put together all the different people in my life who've had a big influence on me and who've been my friends for a long time and with whom we really don't think about like the differences in skin tone, hair texture, religion or origins. It's really just that we, you know, we embrace and love each other. Yeah, so.
The mirrors are all kind of shaped like these fragments, which brings me to, you know, a question I've always had about your work, which is about the gaps and the frays on the edges. And I was wondering if you can tell us a little bit about these holes, these cutout areas of white space that you leave in your compositions.
So basically, for me, the unfinished edges are really speaking to the human condition, that we are all the perfect and the imperfect, that in a way, all of us are flawed in some way, from some kind of experience that we've had, whether as children or now, or, just, yes, I mean, for me, that really just expresses the fact that like we can go into the world and present ourselves as perfect, but actually, none of us are perfect. We're all imperfect, and that we should own it and wear it publicly. And so that's why, I mean, sometimes I do like, like a complete shape, but for the most part, I am expressing the imperfect. But I also love the idea that like the story is unfinished, so the viewer can finish the story. But I also like the idea of like entropy, because I love it when things age. Like there's just something just really beautiful about that.
A lack of control and
Yes,
yeah, and the
exactly.
outcome. Yeah. We've had very, few opportunities to chat here and there, and I keep poking at this a little bit, wanting to dig it out some more. But we spoke briefly the other day about your admiration for a fashion photographer, Ellen von Unwerth, whose images of empowered women, impeccably dressed, have inspired you, and I can see this in the compositions. I can see that fashion, but also photography play a big role in this work. And it feels as though you take so much care in the depiction of what many of the figures in your compositions are wearing. Earth Child, Ode to Joy, and The Traveler specifically come to mind. And even the patterns that you choose to adorn your own body with in your compositions feel like they carry great meaning. I myself can't help but think about photographers like Sidhu Keita, who I learned from Okwuyenwusa many years ago. When I look at these compositions, I see photographs in them and the way of the light. So I'm wondering if you can tell us, about your influences, about the influence of fashion and photography in your work.
Yes, so fashion, I love fashion, and I've loved fashion since I was very young. In the 1980s, we used to have a show called Video Fashion Monthly. Sorry, I stumbled over that. Video Fashion Monthly. And it used to feature like the designers and the models like Naomi Campbell. And that was the first time I actually discovered Naomi Campbell. And I used to get very, very thrilled to watch that each week. And it was really just the kind of the drama of fashion. I was quite, it's like watching a really like captivating soap opera or something. I was really, really fascinated with it. And then later I discovered Vogue magazine. So then I started buying it on a regular basis. I think I was about 11 years old, and I've been buying it on a regular basis ever since. So that obsession never waned. But for me, really, it's about how a creative person, a designer, an artist can use fabric to create a work of art in essence. Not so much, like a piece of clothing. It's not fast fashion, like it's artistry. So, that's another thing about fashion that I greatly admire, and really great designers as well. And of course, while reading Vogue magazine, I stumbled upon Ellen von Unwerth's work. And I just loved the way she depicted her women solitary, but always so composed and powerful and independent and stylish. And there was just like, something about that really struck me. And obviously for me, that what was also remarkable was that she told stories in her fashion shoots. It wasn't just like a posed model in the studio. Like she would actually like a story would unfold in her shoots, and I think that subconsciously all of that kind of helped me to create the work that I make today, where I put myself as the central figure in my work, and I try to put on cute outfits as well. Just because it looks good. And so now I lost my train of thought.
You were thinking about the outfits there. Perfect. I want to open it up actually to some Q&A from you all. Questions, anyone? Yes.
Thank you so much, and I'm so excited to see your work. A small context, and then I swear there's a question, which is that I had the opportunity to go to Johannesburg and Cape Town, which was where I was first introduced to your work and to the work of other artists who are working on the continent, living on the continent. And it was really expanding for me because I was like, wow, they are really, really actually doing it here. How do we not get access to the same images from the United States? And so my question for you is, what is your personal canon? So who are the artists that you would look at that you would say are maybe like your elders or the people that came before you? And then also, who are the artists who are coming after you that you're seeing specifically from a perspective of an artist working on the continent, and you could say in Southern Africa, even if you wanted to?
So my all-time favorite, I will not lie, is Vincent van Gogh. I absolutely worship that man. I mean, every single day, he's my reference. I go back to him every time I need inspiration. Yayoi Kusama, I think, is a genius. And what I really admire about her is that she can actually, she can carry a thought through. Like, her work is just so, that's a Yayoi Kusama, whether it's a sculpture, a painting, an installation. And I just love that her visual language is just so clear. For me, that makes her a really, really powerful artist. And then, for me, the South African photographer Lebogang Kanye, I think is a standout artist. I absolutely love her work.
Thank you. I noticed that in the demonstration of your works behind you, like there's this sort of white negative space that's consistent throughout it, and it's like sort of really captivating in a way, like it sort of like frames the individuals that you depict. I was kind of wondering, I want a little more information about the intent behind like those deliberate patches that you cut out, sort of like, how you use them to emphasize certain aspects of your work.
I think I pretty much explained most of it earlier. But actually, it happens by accident, those negative spaces. So they're not deliberate. And actually, they can be quite challenging. And I enjoy the challenge of trying to figure out, how am I going to put a story with all the kind of the irregularness of it all. And obviously, I mean, I think it does help to draw in the eye, the fact that, that it's asymmetrical and that it's textured, that it becomes almost like a texture. And I think it does lend it a kind of a two-dimensional sculpture kind of feeling to it. I mean, for me, it's like an accident. It's like when Newton was sleeping under the tree and the apple fell and he discovered gravity. And for me, this is kind of how it happened, was that I was making a work and I had cut out a piece of the fabric for a previous work. And I was going to make it symmetrical because at that stage I was still doing symmetrical works. But then I was having quite a lot of emotion and I had a lot to say. So I said, no, I'm sure I can squeeze a little something into that, little space that's uneven. And that's really how it all began for me. But then I did start to realize that it was expressing something. That there's like something uneasy and something that looks so pretty, like this beautiful silk and this lovely story. But there's just something that's just slightly uneasy, which is really, how we all live every single day, right? We all have a little something in us that makes us feel uneasy.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I was going to use my teacher voice, but I have a microphone. Since you love water so much, have you had the opportunity to jump into our waters here in Miami?
Well, actually, I'm like, what time can I get out of here? So I can go and jump into that water.
Highly recommend.
I love your work. To me, I see a resemblance to a lot of the painters that are coming out of South Africa now, including Amoako Boafo. It has that kind of like painterly little pieced together fingerprinting kind of, or finger painting type of texture to it. So 2 questions. One, do those artists inform your direction in terms of, because I see that especially in the smaller portraits, because I see that painterly application in the faces, but then I see the flat backgrounds, which is like really, really reminiscent of that work that's coming out. So 1, do they inform your work? And 2, can you tell me a little bit about why you choose to do a running stitch with your hand as opposed to using a mechanical sewing machine, and how you select your threads, because I noticed that there really isn't a big contrast between the colors of the threads and whatever area you're applying them to.
So basically for me, I sew by hand because I cannot use a machine. I tried. I actually can't believe that I can drive, because I cannot control the pedal on a sewing machine. Yeah, and also, having to change threads, it takes away the spontaneity. Whereas to just like thread a needle and, put it through is so easy. And actually for me, the stitches are not supposed to be a feature. That's not it. Otherwise I would do contrast stitching with the thread. It's more that glue is unpredictable. So, thread is just like, it just makes more sense in terms of conserving the work. And actually, a Moako Boafo comes after me. I've been doing this like a lot longer, but I mean, I think we probably are both influenced by painting, but for me, it's more Monet, Manet, Vincent van Gogh, Cézanne. So those are the people who've inspired the painterliness of my work. And the flat bits are really about my printmaking history. So I like to combine the two. And I love the fact that like your eye can rest somewhere. So in the flat bits you can rest, and then in the textured bits you can experience the visual. So that's really, those are my two inspirations.
Are you drawn to, first of all, good morning. I'm curious as far as the fabrics. I know for me, when I'm by no means comparing myself to you, but when I work on different projects with fabrics, I love jute and burlap, things that people would typically just throw away and, not feel connected to, but I just love the rawness of it. Are you drawn to any particular types of fabric, like the energy of it that speak to you? What's that selection process like for you?
So, I mean, silk is obviously my obsession. So when I go shopping, it's, the colors pop out at me. But sometimes I have basic colors like white and black and cream and pink, those are just my basics. But in terms of the colors that I use for the background, I usually go for something more shot, like a shot silk. Sometimes I use like voile and things like that. But I do like the delicacy of the silk, because I feel like it's me. Like I look strong on the outside, but I'm fragile. So it kind of is a reflection of my personality.
Thank you, Billie, for sharing so much of you and of your practice with us today. Before all of you go and eat breakfast and enjoy everything we have, I want to tell you that we have a few exhibitions here for you to see. Billie Zangewa's exhibition is on the second floor, and across the hall from that, we have Of What Surrounds Me, which includes 3 wonderful local Miami-based artists, Amanda Bradley, Christina Ley Rodriguez, Meta Tomura. And then on the first floor, as Doug mentioned to us earlier, we have the Masters of Art Education exhibition, which is their graduating show. And on the third floor, do not miss a wonderful gem of a show that's coming to us from the Smithsonian on William H. Johnson. I think you'll have a beautiful morning of things to see here. Thank you again, and I will see you around.
Thank you.